What if I told you time is not passing at the same speed for everyone and the normal you feel is the illusion? Right now, as you sit there, your seconds are quietly drifting out of sync with someone else's. And you don't notice because your brain was never built to catch it. We grow up believing time is a single river, one current, one flow, one universal now that everyone shares. It feels obvious, it feels sacred, but Einstein's most disturbing gift to humanity was this: the universe doesn't care what feels obvious. In fact, the moment you accept one simple rule of reality, your entire intuition collapses. Here's the rule that acts like a trapdoor: light refuses to play fair. No matter how fast you chase it, no matter who is moving, no matter what direction you run, its speed stays the same. That's not a poetic idea, that's a physical fact. And if that rule is true, then something else has to break. Because your everyday logic cannot survive it. So, what breaks first? Space. Time, your sense of before and after. This is where the universe makes a horrifying trade. Instead of letting light change, reality bends the things you thought were untouchable. It stretches time. It reshapes distance, it edits the meaning of simultaneous like it was never real in the first place. And here's the part that should bother you. This isn't only about spaceships. You don't need a sci-fi engine for Einstein's effect to begin. The only reason you feel stable is because you're moving slowly enough that the distortion is tiny to tiny for your senses, but not too tiny for the universe. Time dilation isn't a theory that might happen. It's a rule that is happening, so the question isn't does time slow down. The question is, slow down compared to what? Compared to whom? Compared to which version of reality you're inside of? Because once we follow Einstein to the next step, you're going to see why the idea of a universal present, the comforting now, doesn't just crack. It disappears. If this already feels unsettling, do me a favor, don't just watch this like it's entertainment. Treat it like a test of how you think, because the moment you really understand what Einstein is implying, you stop asking why does time pass slower, and you start asking what even counts as real. So here's what I want from you. Write one sentence in the comments answering this. Where do you think now exists? Is it in the universe or only in your mind? And if you want, you can literally comment nitrogen monoxide now if your brain is already fighting back. Also, hit the like button if you want more of this kind of conceptual, reality-bending science, because it tells the algorithm this isn't just background noise, it's something worth thinking about. And subscribe, because the next part is where it gets truly impossible. I'm going to show you why the universe keeps the speed of light fixed by stealing from time itself, and why that theft is happening to you even on an ordinary day. Your brain is doing something extraordinary and deceptive every second of your life. It stitches reality into a smooth story where time feels like it's flowing evenly, calmly forward. That sensation is so convincing that questioning it feels almost absurd. Of course, time passes. Of course, seconds tick the same for everyone. But Einstein showed that this feeling isn't evidence of truth, it's evidence of adaptation. Human intuition evolved for survival, not for accuracy. Your ancestors didn't need to understand spacetime, they needed to throw rocks, run from predators, and coordinate with others at similar speeds and gravitational conditions. So your brain learned a shortcut. Assume time is stable, universal, and shared. That shortcut worked beautifully until physics stepped outside human-scale experience. Here's the disturbing part. Nothing in the laws of nature says time has to flow. That idea doesn't appear anywhere in the equations. What actually exists are relationships, comparisons between clocks moving differently, sitting in different gravitational fields, experiencing different paths through spacetime. The feeling of flow is something your consciousness adds after the fact, like a narrator trying to make sense of scattered scenes. Think about this. You never experience the past or the future. You only ever experience a thin slice your brain labels as now, but that slice has width. Your senses lag behind reality. Your vision, your hearing, even your thoughts arrive late milliseconds behind what actually happened. Yet your mind edits those delays out and hands you a clean illusion, a present moment that feels sharp and continuous. Now here's the twist that should unsettle you. If different observers move differently through space, their clocks desynchronize, their slices of now don't line up. Two people can honestly disagree about the order of events, and physics says neither is wrong, so if your experience of time depends on motion, perspective, and information delay. What exactly are you trusting when you say this is happening now? Einstein didn't just slow time down, he removed its privilege. He showed that time isn't the stage events play on, it's part of the machinery that changes depending on how you move through the universe. And once that sinks in, you start to notice something uncomfortable. The feeling of temporal stability you rely on every day is not a window into reality, it's a carefully maintained illusion. So before we even talk about clocks slowing or seconds stretching, there's a deeper problem waiting for us. If your brain invents the flow of time and physics doesn't need it, then what happens when we bring light into the picture, the one thing reality refuses to compromise on? Everything collapses the moment you accept one uncomfortable fact: light does not care how fast you move, chase it, run from it, stand still. The result is always the same. Light measures itself at exactly the same speed for everyone. That single rule is so hostile to common sense that reality has no choice but to distort itself to protect it. Your intuition says speed should add up. If you move toward a beam of light, you should measure it going faster. That's how cars work, that's how sound works. That's how literally everything in your daily life works, but light refuses this logic. And Einstein realized something terrifying. If light's speed is fixed, then space and time cannot be, so the universe makes a deal. A deeply unfair one. Instead of allowing light to change, it changes you. It stretches time for moving clocks, it squeezes distances in the direction of motion. Not as a visual illusion, not as a measurement error. As a physical adjustment of reality itself. Here's where it gets personal. You don't need rockets for this to begin. The planet is already dragging you through space at enormous speed. Earth spins, Earth orbits the sun moves through the galaxy. The galaxy moves through the universe. Every layer adds motion. Every layer subtly slows your time compared to someone moving differently. The effect is tiny, but it is real. Your now is already slipping relative to others, and notice what this destroys. There is no master clock ticking in the background of the universe. No cosmic heartbeat. Each observer carries their own time, sculpted by motion. What you call 1 second is not guaranteed to match anyone else's second unless you share the same path through spacetime. This is why Einstein didn't say time flows. He showed time behaves like a dimension, something you move through. Faster motion through space means slower motion through time. It's a trade-off written into the structure of reality. You don't feel it because evolution never trained you to, but physics doesn't care what you feel. And this raises a disturbing question we can't avoid much longer. If motion alone can slow your time, what happens when gravity enters the picture? What happens when space itself bends? Here's the part Einstein never softened for comfort. The universe doesn't reward motion, it charges for it. Every bit of speed you gain is paid for with time itself. Not metaphorically, literally. The faster you move through space, the less you move through time, and this is not a side effect, it's the mechanism. Your intuition wants to believe time is something you carry with you, like a personal clock ticking safely inside your body, but relativity says that clock is negotiable. It bends, it stretches. And the price is speed. Two identical clocks can start together, follow different paths, and reunite, disagreeing about how much time passed, and physics sides with both of them. This is where reality becomes deeply unsettling. There is no neutral frame, no correct pace of existence. Motion is relative, which means time is relative. If you move differently, you age differently, not because of biology. Because spacetime itself allows it. You've heard of the twin paradox, but most explanations miss the emotional weight of it. One twin travels fast, comes back younger. That sounds like a trick, a thought experiment, but it's not. We've tested this with atomic clocks on airplanes. The clocks come back changed. Time does not forgive motion. And notice something darker hiding underneath. This isn't about extreme cases. This rule applies everywhere, all the time. You sitting still on Earth are already moving through spacetime in a specific way. Someone on a mountain is aging faster than someone at sea level. Someone on a plane is aging slower than someone on the ground. The differences are small, but they stack. Reality is constantly diverging. So when you ask, why does time pass slower for you? The honest answer is because it has to. The universe preserves the speed of light at all costs, and time is the currency it uses to pay the bill. You don't negotiate this, you participate in it. And this leads us to the most disturbing realization so far. If time depends on motion, and motion depends on space, then what happens when space itself is no longer flat? What happens when mass bends the very geometry you're moving through? This is where Einstein quietly destroys something you rely on every second of your life, the idea of a shared present. The comforting belief that there is a single now sweeping across the universe, updating reality for everyone at once. It feels undeniable, but in relativity, that feeling is meaningless. Here's the unsettling truth. Simultaneity is not a feature of the universe. It's a perspective. Two events you swear are happening at the same time can occur in a completely different order for someone else, and neither of you is wrong. The universe does not keep a master schedule. Your brain assumes a universal now because it has to. Coordination, language, survival all depend on pretending time is synchronized. But Einstein showed that synchronization only works locally, under shared motion and conditions. The moment observers move differently, their clocks disagree. There presents fracture. Imagine two people moving past each other at high speed. Each carries a perfectly working clock. Each insists their clock defines the present. Relativity says both are correct. Which means the present is not a global slice of reality, it's a personal cut through spacetime. Your now is shaped by how you move. This isn't philosophical speculation GPS satellites must correct for. This effect constantly. Their clocks run faster than yours on Earth because they move differently and sit in weaker gravity. If engineers ignored relativity, your location would drift by kilometers each day. The present moment you trust to navigate your life literally does not exist without correction. And this is the point where intuition collapses. If there is no universal now, then past and future are not cleanly separated either. Events you consider already happened may still be part of someone else's present. Events you call future may already be real from another frame of reference. Time stops being a flow and starts looking like a landscape. Einstein never said the present is an illusion to sound poetic. He said it because physics leaves no alternative. The universe does not update itself in sync. It simply exists all at once while observers carve out their own experience of sequence. So ask yourself this: if now depends on motion, perspective, and gravity, what exactly are you standing in when you say this moment? Up to this point, motion has been the thief stealing your time. But gravity does something even more unsettling. It doesn't just slow clocks down, it tilts time itself. And once Einstein realized this, gravity stopped being a force and became something far more disturbing: geometry in motion. Your intuition says gravity pulls objects, apples fall, planets orbit. But in general relativity, nothing is being pulled. Massive objects bend space-time, and everything else simply follows the curved paths that result. And here's the twist most people miss: when space bends, time bends with it. You cannot curve one without distorting the other. This means time doesn't pass at the same rate everywhere. Near massive objects, time sinks. It runs slower closer to Earth than it does higher above the surface, slower near a mountain than at sea level, slower near a black hole, to the point where, from far away, it appears to nearly stop. This isn't abstract theory. Atomic clocks placed just a few centimeters apart tick at measurably different rates. One is deeper in Earth's gravitational well, so it ages more slowly. The planet you're standing on is stretching time beneath your feet. And here's the truly uncomfortable part: you feel none of this. Your body, your thoughts, your heartbeat all slow together so subjectively, everything feels normal. Gravity hides its manipulation by dragging your entire reality along with it. Time doesn't feel distorted because you are the distortion. Now think about what this means. If time slows near mass, then gravity isn't just shaping where you go, it's shaping when you are. Every step you take through a gravitational field is also a step through uneven time. The universe isn't a flat stage. It's a warped terrain where moments pile up differently depending on where you stand. And this forces a terrifying realization: if motion and gravity both control time, then time is not a background ingredient of reality. It's an active participant, a variable, a field that responds to matter and energy. So the question shifts again: if time can slow, stretch, and sink, then what does it even mean to say time passes? And more disturbingly, what does this say about cause, effect, and the future itself? At this point, you can't pretend it's just a weird detail of physics anymore. Motion slows time, gravity slows time. The now you live inside is not shared by the universe, which means the most comforting assumption you've ever had, that reality is synchronized, is basically a story your brain tells so you can function. So, what is reality, then, if time isn't the same everywhere? Einstein's logic pushes you toward a conclusion that feels almost heretical. What you call the present is not a universal layer moving forward. It's a personal perspective, one slice through a four-dimensional structure where space and time are fused. The universe doesn't come in frames, it comes as a whole, and you, as an observer, are moving through it, carving out a sequence and calling that sequence life. This is why people talk about the block universe idea: past, present, and future existing in one spacetime structure. While different observers disagree on what counts as now, you don't have to love that idea, but you can't ignore the pressure Einstein puts on your intuition. If there's no universal present, then separating reality into already happened and not yet real becomes suspicious. And here's the emotional punch: this doesn't just change how you think about time. It changes how you think about you, because if your timeline is shaped by motion and gravity, then your personal history, your aging, your waiting, your memories are not just happening inside the universe. They are happening as part of the universe's geometry. You're not a passenger on time, you're a pattern inside spacetime. Now comes the twist that keeps people awake at night. If reality can be described as a whole structure where events don't need a universal now to exist, then what happens to free will? Are you choosing your path, or are you simply traveling along one? If the future already exists in some frame, what does decision even mean? And yet there's a second discomfort hiding behind that one. Quantum physics seems to suggest observation matters in a way Einstein hated. He wanted reality to be objective, deterministic, independent of the observer, but relativity, ironically, makes the observer's motion and gravity deeply relevant to the structure of time. Not because your mind creates reality, but because your frame of reference shapes what you can call simultaneous before and after, so you're left with an unsettling crossroads. Reality is not what you feel, but it's also not completely detached from how you exist inside it. Einstein proved your intuition is wrong and then forced you to ask the kind of question physics can't answer cleanly: what is a moment if there is no universal moment. If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're thinking. And that already puts you in a tiny fraction of people willing to let their intuition be challenged. So, if this video bent the way you see time even a little, do 3 simple things right now. First, subscribe to the channel. This is where we keep pushing past what feels comfortable, using Einstein, relativity, and the deepest ideas of modern physics to question reality itself. If you don't subscribe, you'll miss the next breakdown that connects time, space, and consciousness in ways most channels never touch. Second, leave a like if you stayed until the end. It tells the algorithm this kind of content matters, and it helps more curious minds find their way here. And finally, leave a comment. Write one of these exactly as it is. There is nitrogen monoxide now, or time is personal. If you want, add 1 sentence explaining why you chose it. I read these and they shape what we explore. Next.